Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq, joining us at the MarketSite studio in Times Square, New York City for Financial Literacy Month, which of course takes place every April. We have Dr. Preston Cherry. He's the founder and president of Concurrent Financial Planning. We're going to discuss inclusive financial planning. Dr. Cherry, it is great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Yes.
And before we get into that, you actually have a PhD in personal financial planning. That is really interesting. Explain to me what that journey was like. What kind of research did you focus on?
Yes, the personal financial planning degree has been around for a while, and I got mine from Texas Tech, which is the grandfather, I guess, grandmother of financial planning, and I got introduced to it about 20 years ago. So my mentor introduced me. I didn't even know personal finance was a thing.
Right.
Didn't even know it, and so he introduced me to it, and then I got into it over the years, master's in 2006, and then PhD in 2016. But yeah, that was a journey.
What does that kind of research look like as you're going for your dissertation? What are you focusing on?
Yeah, right. Personality traits, behavior, financial psychology is a big focus of mine. So how people think, feel, behave about their money. So their personal relationship about money and how that either is providing a barrier or something that we need to elevate in order for them to continue on their money journey.
And perfect segue. Let's talk about that arc of financial wellness. It's compassion, education, literacy, wellness. Walk us through that.
Yes. People need to be belonged, feel, and heard first. So a lot of folks like to start out with financial literacy, which is the decisions and the behaviors, but we need to back up a couple of steps. So financial compassion is about seeing people. People have different values, experiences, cultures about money. So I always like to say, open up the heart, open up the mind, and then you get to financial education, which is the information part. People like to learn and be informed. And then you have the financial literacy, which is informed decisions and behaviors, and then you get to the wellness, which is more security and confidence about life and money.
Right, and this applies to humans across all statuses, right?
Yes, of course. Yes, because people have different entry points and where they are. So everybody has feelings about their money and where they want to go, their aspirations, and things that they feel uncomfortable about, or anxieties or worries, and they want to be settled. They want more security, they want more confidence, they want more flexibilities in their life, they want more information. So they want more settlement, and they also want to go where they want to go.
Right, and I think it's important to recognize that everyone is at a different point in their life, because we hear so much about compounding interest, and you should invest at least $50 a month here, there. Not everyone can do that $50 a month. It doesn't work that way. It has to start with a plan, it has to start with a budget.
Right, yes, and people start where they are. People start where they are, and that's where that compassion comes into play. We don't want to shame, we don't want to judge. We want to say, where are you? Listen to people, see where they are, hear where they are, and when they feel, that's where that compassion is. If you feel people and they feel heard, then they want the information, and then you're encouraging them to start. You're creating an environment for them to move forward.
And you talk about assignments for dollars, and that's where it comes back to values-based investing.
Yes, exactly. So if you have assignments to your dollars, then it gives you more willingness to stick to a journey, and it doesn't provide an area of discomfort or say, you know what, I don't want to stick to that. If you assign values and where you want to go with your money, then it says, oh, okay, we have a plan and I want to stick to it.
You know, it's interesting, when we were going through the pandemic, I was exposed more to multi-generations living in a home because we were all forced being at home. And you talk about creating generational wealth where, you know, the younger generation in the home might be the only one that has graduated from college or has a full-time job in a certain industry. So you also have to think about the generational capacity when you're dealing with certain clients.
Yes, most definitely. So you don't always have to transfer money in order to build generational wealth. Sometimes access to information, talking about money in the home, talking about experiences, going through. If there's a challenging time in the home, talk about that. How do you feel about this situation? What's to be expected? And then what type of adjustments that you need to be made? And that way, later on in life, there's not so much struggle or conflict with that particular event later on in life because you went through it already as a child.
Right, and this where, you know, to your point, you have to be honest with your self-audit. Sometimes it's ugly and you build up debt or you go through a certain life event. You have to be honest or else you're just not going to get there.
Yes, most definitely. So I like to call this our moment. And not everything, like you said, Jill, is roses. So we're going to have ebbs and flows in life. So we're going to have trial and triumph in order to get to our transformational moments. So if we have this moment, which is 3 A's, which we admit where we are and then acknowledge how we feel about that, that's processing our feelings, then we are in a better position to take action.
And event readiness, right?
Yes.
Hopefully we don't have another pandemic like we just went through with COVID, but is there a blanket way to prepare? You always hear about the 6 months of income. That's a lot
Yes,
to
it is.
save, especially with inflation the way that it is and just the cost of everything going higher. Is that a blanket statement, or is event readiness specific to each person's scenario?
Right. So event readiness, I like this term that I coined somewhat. It's a little bit different than emergency funds. It's the same premise, but emergency funds seems to be alarmist, like we're waiting around for something bad to happen. Event readiness says I'm preparing myself or our household for those ebbs and flows. And it also says we can have event readiness funds 1 and 2. What about an event that's positive, like saving for a vacation or something like that, right? So the event readiness funds help us smooth out rough patches, but also help us prepare for good events that we want to.
Well, let's talk about reality where we are right now, because 2023 certainly has been a volatile year. I think the whole decade of the 2020s is giving us a run for our money, pardon the pun. As a financial advisor, realistically, when you're dealing with clients that are nervous and you're trying to explain to them what's happening in the marketplace with the banks or what's happening with macroeconomics and politics, how do you keep people on track when their first thought is, oh my God, there's a run on the banks, what do I do with my money? How do you keep them, on even keel?
Right. So planning is continuous, just like life is. Uncertainty is certain. It's never not going anywhere, right? So it's ever present. If we plan beforehand, we know these times are coming. It doesn't mean that we're not going to feel them in the moment. Okay, we need to affirm that. But that said, if we're planning beforehand, when it gets here, we can then say, okay, remember that we were planning for these times, and this is what we're planning for. So when we set expectation beforehand and plan beforehand, then we can remind ourselves why we did such planning. And that kind of puts little things at ease a little bit.
Let's wrap it up and talk about Concurrent more specifically.
Yes.
What's going on there? What can we look forward to?
Oh, well, thanks. I mean, we have a new website, podcast with Life Money Balance. So the platform is expanding, so we can really help people on their journey in order to investigate their personhood, what we've been talking about earlier, which is who they are, how that aligns with themselves, also what their aspirations are and how they want to achieve. So new website, expansive services, and a better podcast.
All right, Preston, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on
Right.
Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.